Hi, this is Johnny Dee,
Billy Child,
Michael Kelly Smith,
and Dean Davidson
from Britny Fox.
It's new, it's loud, and it rocks. Our new album.
Boys in Heat.
British bands that we've been influenced by: Slade, Sweet, Nazareth. Nazareth's from Scotland, but our influences range pretty much, throughout all the '70s bands, really. But
I think for all of us, it's obvious, right when you were little, the Beatles, the Stones, I was brought up with that. My parents were listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all, so it's like, I hear that around the house, so.
And then bands.
And then when I got older, it was like, Nazareth or, Sabbath, all these new bands, Zeppelin and all.
AC/DC, our collective influences are all the bands from the '70s, really. And he will go down as one of the most important things that have happened for, just mankind in general, and definitely for music. There's people that haven't had the opportunity to be exposed to, rock and roll the way we have and the way the rest of the world has been. So it'll be great for music as well.
Yeah, and all the bands getting together for, what was it, Live Aid things and all that type stuff.
The Russians sing here.
Yeah, that.
Just all, great. Music just getting together, all different kinds of bands getting together, and, it's a wide range. People are starting to hear, music from the early '70s, and now it's growing bigger and bigger. So.
Plus, rock in general has gotten to be much more popularized, and widely accepted now, and bands like Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses selling so many albums, it just wasn't heard of a few years ago. 5-6 years ago, you couldn't even sell that many a band like that, and it's great now because it just opens it up for bands like us and tons of new bands as well. So that's probably the biggest thing that happened in rock in the last 10 years, which is great, I'm sure it will continue to grow in the '90s.
'50s, Philadelphia, it was like, once a month there was like a solo, artist, singer or girl singer coming out of Philadelphia, all the time.
And then there was a long period of time when really nothing happened there. And then as far as rock and heavy metal or whatever, LA was real, got all the attention on the West Coast. Bands like, Rat and Motley Crue, and that whole wave of bands that got record deals from the West Coast, or out of the West Coast, kind of ran its course, and now, more attention, I think, is being, paid to the, East Coast and the Philadelphia, New Jersey area with Bon Jovi, Cinderella, ourselves, But as far as the British thing, but, might come a time when there'll be a new T-Rex and a new David Bowie maybe, or a new Slade, or new whoever, Everything just goes in cycles.
Yeah.
The first bands to break out of there had something original, and then after a while, everyone kind of jumped on the bandwagon, I think, and it just started to all sound the same, and that's why
People
probably
ran
its course.
And look somewhere else where they can find something a little bit
fresh,
more new, So that's why it keeps moving around like that, I guess.
Plus, there's out in the West Coast, there's 50 bands to every one band in the East Coast. If they really wanted to, Robert Plant or whatever that night, if they wanted to come out seriously and do it, they could pull it off. But it has to be in their heart, they want to do it and bring it back. So I think for just coming up that one night without, I'm sure, not that many rehearsals, maybe an hour of rehearsal they had, I thought that was, really good for what they put into it. But if they really went to town on it and rehearsed for a half a year and did a world tour, it would probably be really big.
Because it's a real serious issue, and I think, everyone has to just look at it from their own personal point of view, depending on what their lifestyle, is like. It's everyone, it's really up to the individual, really.
Can't be stupid.
I think you can't put a blanket over the whole thing and say, well, this should go for everybody. You know, everyone has different tastes and different lifestyles, and therefore each individual, whether you're a musician or whatever you do, has to make their own decisions and you know, go about things the way they feel is right for them.
Be responsible enough to, you should know how to handle that situation, and if you don't, then you just cut, you know, just pull out the knife and cut your throat.
I mean, you know, people make mistakes and people learn from them, so.
Makes you wish you were touring in the 70s and stuff.
We just want to continue on in the direction we're going, and hopefully, you know, be able to look back at the end of the 90s and say we had a, you know, successful career, and hopefully still be at it.
You know, and add a different, you know, hopefully over the years to learn, and, you know, hopefully add something to the rock, you know, to the world, you know, like a different flavor of music added in, you know, just to grow, plus with all the fans that we started out with. You know, that's the main thing, too.
Just really to be able to, you know, make somewhat, you know, make a mark, and, you know, with music, really.
We've been working for this, you know, all our lives, so, you know, it'd be nice to continue to do it, you know, and just to keep doing it is probably the most important thing for us, you know.
Love to, yeah. I mean, especially now that it seems like everything's headed in that direction. It would be great, I think, like I said earlier, for, you know, just music and rock and roll in general. It's going to be really, I think the 90s are really going to be a whole different ball game as far as that, you know.
I mean, in time, like with Britny, I mean, in time, it's just, you know, we'll get there, you know, we'll have our day in the sun, you know, getting around the world, you know, playing everywhere.
And this Alice Cooper tour is really the beginning for us, because it's our first time, you know, in Europe, and hopefully, you know, after we tour the States again, we'll be going to Japan and maybe Australia, Canada, you know, wherever we can go that we haven't been to before. You know, Russia would be great, but, you know, that probably won't be for, you know, a little bit down the road, but, you know, we're just anxious to go wherever we can.